In this episode, I'm going to teach you how to be able to fly Arma Reforger helicopters as a beginner, or maybe someone who has had a bit of experience in Arma 3 and is struggling to be able to adjust. You're going to learn how to flare, how to be able to J-hook land, and a whole bunch of other things like flying low and flying around the coastline, etc. How to be able to land in a combat environment. Okay, let's go. So before we start, I wanted to just go into the workshop. This is where we get all of our mods, and I think it's important that you get this. Okay, this is unit map markers, and it will place a picture of you as an arrow on the map so that you can find yourself immediately while you're flying around. It just means that you don't end up getting lost and you can't find your way back to your spawn point or the airfield. This will help you. Also, if you would like to use the little bird that we are flying around in, it is here. It is the AH-6M Little Bird by Akira Seki. So I recommend that you install that. Make sure that you turn it on. Same with the map markers. Make sure that it is ticked and it's good to go. To be able to practice your flying, I really recommend that you go into Game Master, pick your favorite map. So I'll just go Everon. From here, just click here. Click on spawn point. Drop a spawn point here. Cycle over here. Let's get rid of this. Find the Huey. Drop it down. The next thing to do is just to grab yourself a little bird if you'd like. Let's just place that there. Okay, and the next thing you want to do is you want to hit the respawn menu. Now, normally, sometimes you can end up in the water. It just seems to be a fault with the Game Master when you initially jump in. So if you do end up spawning in the water, just hit respawn and then you will come to this menu. Okay. We'll just jump in. We want to make sure that we select this. And then we end up here. And I'm just a vanilla soldier because we don't care about this. We're flying helicopters. Okay, so we want to get in as pilots, guys, and I've got my my little keyboard on the screen so that you can watch what I do. Okay, so I pretty much use vanilla key bindings, except for one change that I made. So collective down is shift, and then collective up is spacebar. Now, I fly with the mouse because I have flown with the mouse in Arma 3. However, when you first get inside a helicopter, there is free look. So free look is enabled. To be able to lock your screen so that you can fly with the mouse, you want to hit Alt once. Once you hit Alt once, you'll know that you have control over the helicopter because the rotor up the top of the screen will move when you move the mouse. So you can see that I'm moving my mouse. So to be able to start the helicopter, we hold down R. So just in case you're not very clear on what the keys do, this is what the keys do. Spacebar lifts the aircraft up. Control shift puts the aircraft down. Let me just take it back up again. D does this. A does this. W does this. S does this. and then mouse movement right does this. Mouse movement left does this. And those are all the keys that I use. Those are the only keys I use. So W, S, right mouse, left mouse, pedal right, pedal left, collective up, collective down. So the first thing you need to do when you are learning to fly is to be able to take off. Now, Reforger is slightly different to other helicopter games in that it really does use collective up and collective down as a speeding up of the rotor and a slowing down of the rotor, rather than an altitude thing in a game. So it really does use physics to fly the helicopter, and it's terrifying when you first learn how to do it. And so this is what I mean. When you first take off, you're going to learn to take off with a maybe flat nose takeoff, which means you'll go straight up and then you'll gain speed, like this. Now, this is a really, really slow way to fly, and eventually you're going to want to be able to fly and take off quicker. So if I just land this thing real quick. Right. So once you get a little bit more confident and you've taken off and you've landed a couple of times, you're going to take off with what's known as a nose down takeoff. In every other game, a nose down takeoff is absolutely fine. The helicopter will gain altitude and you will be gaining speed at the same time. In Arma Reforger, it's a little bit more realistic, and that if you have a steep nose takeoff, you'll crash into the ground. Watch now for a demonstration. To be able to get past this, let me just move this around. There we go. To be able to sort of get past this problem, you need to have a nose down takeoff for a split second, and then you need to focus on altitude control while trying to gain speed. So this is probably one of the difficult parts of learning to fly in Arma Reforger. So to be able to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to take off, we're going to push the nose down for a beat, and then we're going to control the nose by bringing it up slightly and resisting the dive. So watch now. What you'll notice there is that I took off, brought the nose down severely, and then tapped the nose up button to control the vehicle from basically crashing into the ground. And while that was absolutely simple, it's something that takes a while for you to figure out on your own. This is why tutorials like this are going to really improve your flying within probably 45 minutes, while the majority of us who learned to fly in the first days of Arma Reforger helicopters really struggled. So now that we know how to take off, what we want to do now is we want to learn how to be able to slow the helicopter down using a flare and then land. So let's start by flaring. Now, I want to preface this by saying that flaring, naturally, how a helicopter does in real life, in Arma Reforger, is really difficult. And this is why the majority of very good pilots in Arma Reforger do not do a natural landing. We use a much more acrobatic technique to land because it's actually easier. But you didn't hear me say that. So here we go. I'm now going to try and demonstrate to you a natural flare at low altitudes, and I'm going to stop the helicopter. Here we go. So the first thing we need to do is we need to gain speed. Let's get a little bit of altitude. Now, the first thing we need to do is, just like in any other helicopter game, we need to bring the nose up. The only problem with this helicopter is that the fake horizon on the dashboard doesn't work. Okay. So we want to bring the nose up and bring the helicopter to a stop. There. So this is the first lesson we're learning as a beginner helicopter, and for you who can fly helicopters, that was a little bit boring. I apologize. I'm going to do it one more time for the beginners. So we're going to gain speed, and then we're going to turn around and come back to the airport so we can watch the decrease in speed. Okay, let me just try that again. Okay, so let's do that again, guys. We're flying down the airfield. Okay, and we're going to flare at a height. Here we go. So nose a little bit up, and we're tapping down. We're tapping down on the collective down and bringing the nose up at the same time. If you're struggling to use both fingers on the keyboard, use the mouse to bring the nose up. Okay. Apologies, guys. My brain immediately tries to land. So there we go. I've kept it off the ground. Yep, so I apologize. I just have a natural instinct to want to land. So there we go. So this is the most vanilla, realistic way to land a helicopter in almost all games, and I even believe in real life. I want to show you what your flares are going to look like as you practice them, so you don't feel like you're not learning. So here is a demonstration of what beginner flaring looks like, and you should not be embarrassed and you should not be put out by your technique. Okay, so now that we have done a straight line flare, we're now going to do a vanilla, realistic straight line flare and land. This is also known as a 0-0 landing because you end up landing with 0 speed and 0 height. So it's called a 0-0 landing. That is a proper terminology within helicoptering. There we go. Okay, I'm not a helicopter pilot. Okay, so what we're going to do is we want to flare up. Okay, and that is a 0-0 landing. And I'm not going to show you that again because this is not the way you land in Arma Reforger. It is so difficult to be able to land correctly and realistically right now in vanilla helicopters. So now I'm going to teach you how to be able to hook your helicopter around to bleed off speed and then put it on the ground. Now I want to preface this by saying the Arma Reforger helicopter is so robust that you have to bounce the tail off the ground or drop the rotors onto the ground or into a tree to damage this helicopter. You really can drop it like it's hot. Okay, here we go. Now, to be able to learn to J-hook, the first thing we need to do is we need to get our cornering correct. So to be able to turn the vehicle 180 without stopping, we need to bank in the direction that we want to go, like that. Okay? And if you notice, the vehicle, when turned, when bank, wants to crash into the ground. Can you see that? Constantly wants to crash in the ground. So what we want to do with vanilla default settings is as we decide to turn the vehicle in the direction we want, we must press S or bring the nose of the vehicle up. So like this. We turn and we hold and tap nose up, which is S in default, to bring the vehicle around in a safe manner without crashing into the ground. So again, I'll give you a demonstration. If we turn the vehicle on its own, the vehicle wants to plummet to the ground. However, if we turn the vehicle using the mouse and then S as a steadying, stabilizing motion, the vehicle can just continue to turn and turn around. Vanilla helicopters are awesome. Once you understand this concept, you'll probably never crash a helicopter in a turn again. We're keeping the nose up. The helicopter will just continue to turn in a circle. And this is the foundation technique to being able to J-turn. Let me just bleed off some speed here, some height. We've got so much height, and we're going to be going so quick now, but that's okay. Okay. So the next thing we need to learn to do is to be able to stop the helicopter before we land. So again, we're using the runway just so we can see how we're doing. So this is kind of like a metric of like improvement. So always use the runway because you can see how you're going. So what we want to do now is when we get to the end of the runway, we want to stop or at least turn around. So let's turn. Hold S, tap S, tap S. Okay. And you can see there that all I was pressing was S, no other keys. So at this moment, I'm not playing with the collective, I'm not doing anything. All I'm doing is I'm pressing S and using the mouse to turn the vehicle. Watch again for another demonstration. Here we go. And we're turning on the edge. Hard. Yep. Whoops, it's a little low. Got to keep that nose up with the mouse. Okay. Again, it was a little bit strange because I'm not using the collective. I don't want to add any more buttons just yet. Okay, so this time what we're going to do is we're going to use the collective. So thumb on the spacebar when we turn. Here we go. So again, we're flying around, we're flying down. We're going to bank, S, and collective. I push the nose down to make sure that my nose is where I want it to be. So I'm using the opposite button to S, so that's W, just to make sure my nose is correct. So this time I'm going to use my technique to turn using both W and S. W is just a corrective measure. I've got hold of the collective down. I'm turning, making sure that I don't overturn. And again, I'm keeping my nose down with W. Okay, once again, you can see because I fly so low, I've created a bad habit of continually having my thumb on the spacebar for collective up. Now, it's just something I learned from Arma 3 to just continue to maintain speed. We're turning, S hard, tap, 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 nose down, tap, 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 nose up hard because I'm about to crash, nose down so I don't end up oversteering. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we want to do a sharper turn. This turn will bleed so much speed that, let me just turn so I can keep talking to you. Okay, turning as we've been taught. Okay, now I can talk to you. Okay, so this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate the pedal. Now the pedal is this. Okay, it's this key. And what it does is it turns the rudder at the back. Here we go. Watch how different this turn is. Okay guys, here we go. I'm going to do rudder and turn again. Here we go. So, up, rudder. Okay, and it bleeds off speed, and it means if I want to land, I can land here. Okay? So what we're going to do this time is I'm going to actually, like, do a very strong hook and stop the aircraft. Now, this could be a 360, or it could be 180. Complete 180 turn, depending on how quickly we are going. Okay, so here we go. So if you notice there, what I was doing is I was using a whole bunch of buttons. So let's break this down. To be able to stop the aircraft, you really want to look at not doing a 180, but you need to go a little bit further than 180. So you are trying to stop the aircraft now, the helicopter. You're not trying to turn around, you're trying to stop the aircraft. So we can just do it here. Let's just do it right here. Apologies, I'm so used to landing that I'm losing my technique there, boys, so I apologize. It's mainly because I'm trying not to land, but yet I created muscle memory to land when I do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to allow my natural instinct to kick in, and I'm going to land after I've done this J-hook. Almost crashed the helicopter there, apologies. Okay, I'm going to gain a little bit of altitude too, because you should not be practicing flying at the level that I'm flying. So I apologize for doing this. I keep flying at my level. Okay, so here we go. We're going to stop the aircraft. Okay. It's a bit of a rough landing, guys. I apologize. Right. So let's break that down to see what I just did. So when I come to the turning, the first thing I'm doing is I'm pressing both S and D down at the same time, and then I'm switching between collective up and collective down. Now there are some pilots out there who are so good, they don't even do collective up. They are just basically manipulating collective down. I'm not as good as them. So I always make sure that I have at least a little bit of upward motion before I start coming down. So we'll do it one more time, and then this is something you can practice then. So the breakdown of this is the beginning of the turn is a hard S and D if we're going to the right, and you can do left on your own, but let's stick to right. Again, you can see I'm holding collective up to get my speed up. And then I don't let go of collective up, press both buttons now, collective down, collective up, and then I let go of the pedal. And then it's about getting down. Oops, that was a bit rough. I fractured my helicopter a bit, but she's still flyable. Okay. So again, we're coming along here. We're even in a damaged helicopter as well. Again, this shows you just how flexible vanilla helicopters are. Well, these helicopters, I'm not sure if this is perfectly vanilla. Okay. Collect it down. Oops, fix your backward motion and down. It's not as difficult as it seems. So guys, that is how you do a typical Arma Reforger helicopter landing. So how do you practice this J-hook without smashing into the ground? The best way is go to high altitudes, And I've even got a broken helicopter, but that's okay. High altitudes, don't bother about going over the water. Let's just get a little bit more height. And then we'll just use the runway as a way to measure when we want to turn. And we fly like this, and then we just do our practice here. So we go and then we have slowed the helicopter and ready for landing. So I just want to show you some of the things that you might find yourself doing a lot, and I want to see if I can replicate them so that we can show you how to fix them. And probably the first one is just ensure that your third person is... Can you see that on my mouse? Can you see how I have placed my thumb button as my way to be able to jump between third person and second person? Anyway, enough before I drive everyone insane. Here, let me just fix this helicopter. I think the most important thing to understand is that, like, it's going to take you a while to be a perfect pilot. So even I make mistakes like this, and I'm literally making a tutorial. It's okay to make mistakes and to crash your helicopter. That's the first thing. That's why you practice here, so you can do what I just did then and heal your helicopter. So here's some of the mistakes you might make. So the first mistake is sort of backward motion after you've done your J-hook, so that you come along like this and then you do a J-hook, and then what you find is that you end up going backwards while you're trying to land. And you end up, well, I was kind of lucky there, but I was actually aiming for a tree. But you'll end up smashing into a tree and breaking your helicopter. And while that's okay while you practice, if you're on a server, it can be quite frustrating for the people on the server if you're crashing their helicopter all the time. So the way to fix that is to allow yourself time to get to a negative or like a neutral movement. So when you come around, wait for yourself to level out, and sometimes even using the keys, sometimes the forward motions and the backwards motions take a moment to kick in. So you can see how even though I'm facing backwards, it takes a while. You get a seesaw effect. When the seesaw effect kicks in, the best way to try and fix your seesaw effects is that if you're going backwards, if I may put it, I'll just put it backwards because that's the scariest one. If you're going backwards like this, one of the things you can do is to spin the helicopter around. So let me just try that again without crashing. So you're here, you're going along. Crash my helicopter again. So if you're in a backwards backwards motion like this, come on, go backwards. Okay, and you switch to third person because you're feeling a little bit nervous and you're going backwards like this. It takes a moment to get the aircraft to go forward again. Can you see how we've traveled all that distance in the time that we can make it sort of change direction? The way to fix this is to use the rudder to spin yourself around. So I'll show you a demonstration now. If I can just get this thing back into going reverse, backwards. Okay, so I've tilted the nose up, and we're going to start going backwards, and you're tapping, and you're trying to get the thing to go forward, and it won't. What to do is spin the helicopter by using the rudders, and what it will allow you to do is face the direction that you're traveling. So you've done a J-hook, you're traveling backwards slowly, and you're feeling a little bit stressed from the turn. You've switched to third person. What to do is spin the helicopter around. Spin the helicopter around. Okay, like this. Keep spinning the helicopter. And you'll be able to control it You're going to go out of control. It's going to be embarrassing. People are going to call you a shit pilot and all that. Just suck it up, okay? And get yourself right. Switch back to whichever view you're comfortable with. And focus on landing with small tap-tap movements. The tap-tap movements, tap-tap landings, tap-tap, forward motion, tap-tap backward motion. Use the tap-tap sort of technique to be able to do micro movements instead of using the mouse, or use both. Okay, from here, I'm going to leave my helicopter broken because I deserve it. Okay guys, the next thing that you want to do from here is to learn how to be able to fly in a combat manner. Now, I think I'm going to swap to my little bird to be able to demonstrate how to be able to fly around the map so that you're not going to get knocked out of the sky by RPGs and things like that. And 50 cal rounds. So let's just fly over to our little bird. I'm going to attempt a vanilla landing. I'm not the best at these vanilla landings. I feel a little bit overdressed to be flying, but it's fine. Okay, so this is a completely different ball game when you get into this helicopter, because this helicopter was built for flying, where the vanilla ones were built for the engine. So the Huey was built to perform within the engine. This stands on the shoulders of giants. So that is the amazing technology that was built and designed in the Infusion engine for Arma 4. This is what people have built on top of that, and it is fantastic. So as you can see, we have a working fake horizon on the dashboard, and you will see it working in a sec. You've got your pylons and then stuff as well. I don't really know what this screen does. I guess it's going to be obviously the turret camera below when it comes out. So R to start. Okay, so what we're going to do now, guys, I'm going to show you how you should be flying around the map, and how once you have perfected, nobody perfects, once you are used to flying around and you've got your J-hook landing down, and you understand about using the pedals to be able to stabilize yourself in a field so you're not crashing into trees, next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you're flying at a low altitude. Now this helicopter, it freaking moves, man. Okay, I guess I gotta lock my my alt. So again, you can see I'm not in control of the helicopter, so tap alt once, and I'm back in. Now, let's get this helicopter moving. Okay, so when you're flying, you need to be flying on the treetops and around, on the water. So coastal flying is probably the best for everyone. So really stick to the water. See, this thing in first person allows you to really move. It hooks well at using the S to stabilize the turn. If you're inland, okay, treetops. Always treetops. Make sure that there is somebody navigating for you. So they'll tell you, okay, I need you to land in the yellow field to your front now. Okay, guys, that's another thing you need to know, is that the power lines do nothing. Okay, and then your guys will get out, and again, low flying. Nose down, nose up. Nose down, nose up. Find your direction. S to stabilize the turn. S to stabilize the turn. S to stabilize the turn. Okay, and I just wanted to reiterate what I was trying to show you there. So let me just slow down. Okay, this is like meta of me to do this, but I'm doing it anyway. the power lines do not affect the helicopter. Do not panic about flying between the pylons. Like, worry about the pylons for sure, but do not worry about the power lines. They have no effect at this point in time. Maybe that'll change, but right now they have zero effect on the helicopter. Fly straight through them. Okay, so let's talk about landing. So the main thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your boys are not going to land you, who are basically your navigator. Make sure they're not going to land you in a field full of dudes. So what I always recommend doing is when you're flying, fly low. Okay, fly over where you're going to land. So here, for example, look. I deserve that. I deserve that. Okay guys, so as I was saying, I apologize. I just crashed. I keep saying apologize. I don't know why. I guess I'm just sorry that I'm making this goddamn tutorial for you. Okay, so if you are placed into a situation where somebody tells you to land, say in the field to our front, the first thing that you want to do is you want to fly over, make sure that there's no enemy in there, enemy clear. Okay, bring yourself around. And again, if you're not comfortable, third person. Okay, land. Okay, this is where third person comes in handy. Watch for everyone to be out. Everyone's out. First person, nose down, nose up, nose down. Turn, S to stabilize, get out of there. Always be flying low. These trees are no problems, you pull up and over them. Yep, once there is a space, go down. Okay, focus on staying low. Again, the Huey can't really do this, but the little bird can. You can fly over here. I just broke something on that house. Flying on the coastline is about staying below the tree line, so then you're not going to be slapped by enemy. Again, we've been told that we need to pull in here. Inland here, find the nearest clearing and drop them in here, which is probably here. We want to do a flyover, make sure it's empty. Third person, land. We check to make sure everybody is out, back in. Okay, and normally you'll have a compass as well. There'll be a compass, so most servers that are flying little birds will have ACE compass. I don't have it here. I wish I had put it on now. ACE compass will help you to find out which direction that you are going. Remember guys, the power lines don't do anything. Okay, everybody is out. Find your space. So our space is through here. Here's another space. Here's another space. Remember, the power lines do nothing. Open space. Here's our other space. Power lines do nothing. And then we're going to land in this. Remember guys, if you really want to see how this works, slow it down and look what my fingers are doing on the board that is on the screen. It'll allow you to replicate it. However, if you're struggling to understand what I'm doing, the key movement in the turn is this. Okay, that is the key movement. If we look at it to the right, the key movement is this. These two buttons. This is the key movement. This is what is getting me the spin. And knowing when to release and to change into third person and bring the helicopter down. So let's see if I can explain it while I do it. Okay, key movement here, and I'm not letting go in collective up until I'm in the turn. Turn, collective down, third person. Okay, I used a tiny bit of collective up to just to fix myself, and then it's all mouse and buttons. Okay guys, I believe that we are done here. Go out and do your best to become a helicopter pilot for some server out there. And I'll see you in Reforger and in Arma 4.